Hello, BookTube. I've got a tiny bit of mail for you today on a very gloomy, very overcast, very drizzly Saturday. The rain, the clouds did indeed arrive, and they aren't going anywhere. According to the Matthew Capucci weather app, I thought originally that the forecast was for overcast and rain and drizzle for the whole of the weekend. So Friday night, all of Saturday, all of Sunday night into Monday. But that turns out not to be true. The weather is rain on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So it looks like there's going to be one day where even the most generous odds say that it will not rain on that day. But it looks like it's going to be a very sun-free Donegal type week. That's a little bit of a trial because my tiny little dog here, who's pressed against me, is she's a little solar battery. The absence of the sun really does her in, and she hates the rain. So, uh, but some mail came. we'll make do with less exercise. But some mail came, and I thought we'd go through it. And since there are only a couple of packages, I will finally remember to review handicap these things because a lot of you have said that you like that. When I not only talk about the book, of course we'll talk about the book, but also talk about reviewing the book. Because for new people to this channel, I am a book section editor and also a book reviewer. So I naturally look at books with that lens. Oh, okay. Oh, great. All right. Well, we've already seen this. And this comes out on April 8th. So that is, there's no time to pitch this to an editor. You're going to want to assume, if you are a freelance book reviewer, you're going to want to assume that your editor has plotted out their section at least a month or two ahead of time. So if you're getting a book for the first time on March 29th and the book comes out on April 8th, that April will already be booked. I want to hurry to stress, that is not true with Open Letters Review, the online literary journal where I am one of the editors and where we have a really good masthead of people. You are always welcome to pitch something there. I will know right away if it's taken, but otherwise, you're always welcome to try your hand at formal book reviewing then. But this is something that we have already seen. Now I just have the finished copy of it. This is John and Paul, A Love Story in Songs by Ian Leslie. So this has all the blurbs from the UK press. What have we got here? John Lennon and Paul McCartney knew each other for 23 years, from 1957 to 1980. This book is the myth-shattering biography of a relationship that changed the cultural history of the world. The Beatles shook the world to its core in the 1960s, and to this day, a new generations continue to fall in love with their songs and their story. At the heart of this phenomenon lies the dynamic between John Lennon and Paul McCartney. Few other musical partnerships have been rooted in such deep, intense, complicated personal relationship. John and Paul's relationship was defined by its complexity, compulsive, tender, and tempestuous, full of longing, riven by jealousy. Like the band, their relationship was always in motion, never in equilibrium for long. This book traces its twists and turns and reveals how these shifts manifested themselves in the music. The two of them shared a private language, rooted in stories, comedy, and songs they both loved as teenagers, and later in the lyrics of Beatles songs. Okay, great. So Ian Leslie is a writer and author of acclaimed books on human psychology and creativity, relationships and communication, and writes about the intersection between psychology, pop culture, and business for The Economist, The Atlantic, The Financial Times, The Guardian, The New Statesman, among others. Goodness gracious. And he's the author of books like Curious, The Desire to Know and Why Your Future Depends on It, Conflicted, How Productive Disagreements Lead to Better Outcomes, and Born Liars, Why We Can't Live Without Deceit. Okay. So I wonder if this is his first book on pop culture. Sounds like he's been writing about psychology stuff before then. I'll check it out and see. But if we're talking about review handicapping here, well, if you'd got an advance copy of this in January, it is a great thing to pitch because everybody knows the Beatles. So every every editor is going to consider this. They might not want to do it. They might not think that their readership is interested, but they're going to consider it at least. It's not like Byzantine history where they'll just dismiss a pitch out of hand. With bigger journals, with bigger venues, they might have someone who writes about music. You might have to contend with that, but that's only if you're pitching this months ago. So now, let's say you're going to do it. Let's say for Open Letters Review, the online journal that I mentioned. If you're going to do this for Open Letters Review, well, then it wouldn't be so much a question of is the timing right for a pitch, because we're a lot more relaxed at Open Letters Review, and we don't run a full 5-page spread of book reviews. So chances are that a book you set your sights on is going to be free. It's not going to be claimed. Very, very seldom would you email me, for instance, about Open Letters Review, about a book, and be told that it's already claimed, that someone's already writing about it. That will almost never happen. No, it won't be a question of availability or timing. Instead, it'll be a question of your approach, the approach that you take to this book. The most natural person to want to review something like this is going to be a music freak, a Beatles fan. And the key to realize for the kind of reviews that we run at Open Letters, which are 800-word newspaper reviews, is that expertise will do you very little good. You will need to keep it under intense control. Because if you start going into the weeds right away in your first paragraph to show off how much you know, or at least to take advantage of how much you know, I'm going to stop you short right away. That level of detail is not necessary until paragraph 7, and only then to check on this author. Not to tell your readers, but just to check if he does something wrong that your expertise will inform you about. It's interesting. I know I'm the wrong person to talk about this because I am an infamous omnivore when it comes to being a book reviewer. I firmly believe, I like to tell myself there's virtually nothing that crosses my desk that I can't write a good review about. And I have been believing that and saying that and telling that to editors who've been buying my work for a long time. So that's not just a delusion on my part. Once upon a time, newspaper daily book reviewers had to do that. They had to take the next thing on the conveyor belt and just write up a good review about it. I would give, if newspaper culture existed the way it once did, I would give a lot to be the daily newspaper reviewer for a major venue. I would do a lot. I would give a lot to be considered for that. It would never happen now. Even the venues that have something approaching that are completely out of the question. Not only because they have all bent the knee to fascism, they are all pro-fascist newspapers, but also because when they're not bending the knee to fascist, to outright governmental authoritarian fascism, they're ideological fascism on the other side of the spectrum. I'm an old white guy, so there's no chance that it would happen, and there's no need for it, since I have a print newspaper where I am the book section editor, and I have an electronic literary journal where I am one of the editors, and I also have Steve Reads, my renewed online blog for all things literary. So I'm not lacking for venues. So still, it would be nice. It would be nice. But no, when it comes to reviewing this for Open Letters, obviously we're not on any kind of time constraints because I would have to mail this to you. So that would slow things down anyway. You wouldn't be finished with it by April 8th, its release date. But we're not wedded to release dates at Open Letters. It just has to be still new. It can't be reprinted in paperback. Now, the question here would be, how are you going to bring your expertise to bear? You might think it's the easiest thing in the world to do, but it's actually, the more expertise you have, the more detailed expertise you have on a particular subject. For a popular release book, if this were a monograph, fine. But for a popular release book, the more pointillist, detailed expertise you have, the more of an obstacle that can be to writing a good, general interest, readable review. So, I don't know. I don't have any kind of musical expertise myself, but I have read quite a few books on the Beatles. So, I can handle it if nobody else does. And then what is this next one? Oh no! Speak of the devil, and he shall appear. Okay, this is also April 8th, so this is also getting to me late. This is Cozy Mystery, it looks like. which is not my bag at all. This is Molly Harper. Why do I know that name? This is A Proposal to Die For. She had a plan for everything except murder. Cartoon cover, cutesy poo pun as a title. Let's see, maybe it's not. It feels like cozy mystery. Molly Harper, best known for her best-selling witchy romances such as Witches Get Stuff Done and Big Witch Energy, is bringing her snarky, witty, and delightful prose style of romance into the mystery world with her new novel, which is going to be a paperback original in April. So what is the word for this? In the fantasy genre, fantasy and science fiction has been completely corrupted into romantasy. What is the word for that when it's mystery? Jessamine Bricker runs a thriving proposal planning business, but with rent costs rising at her office building, Jess jumps at the chance to plan a proposal between her snobby high school classmate Diana and her very wealthy boyfriend Trenton Tillard IV. Roped into joining Diana's pre-bridal retreat at the exclusive Golden Ash Resort, Jess hopes to fade into the background, get some work done, and maybe find some time to unwind. But that notion is quickly dispelled from the start. Diana is furious about the mountain spa's lack of cell phone reception. The couple next door argues constantly, and Jess swears she just saw a drug deal go down. To top it all off, she's warned to stay out of the woods by the gruff and sexy chef, Dean Osborne. Why would he tell her to stay out of the woods? As Jess tries to do her job while placating the bride-to-be, her increasingly over-the-top demands, she spends more and more time with the resort owners, finding herself much more in tune with the laid-back Osborne family than her social climbing boss. Between a meditation garden-related drowning and Jess's discovery of a body in a sauna, it's clear that deadly secrets abound at Golden Ash. Now it's up to Jess to unravel the mysteries here in the mountains before all her plans are canceled permanently. Yeah, that's a cozy murder mystery, definitely. Stay out of the woods at all costs, plus a drug deal makes me think about something being grown or harvested in the woods. Okay, well, I have not read Molly Harper's other stuff. Who is she when she's at home? The author of more than 40 paranormal romance, contemporary romance, and women's fiction, and young adult titles. More than 40 books? Well, I might have read a Molly Harper then. A lifelong romance reader, she graduated with a Master's of Fine Arts from Seton Hill University, focusing on writing popular fiction. She lived in Kentucky for most of her life before recently moving to Michigan with her family. Very smart move. And she's still figuring out how to choose outerwear and play complicated winter card games. Gonna have to worry about winter card games by the end of the decade, but it's good to move there. Okay, well, this is going to be a $20, $19 original trade paperback. Some of you are probably a lot more up in line for this than I am. Shall we see how it begins? A Proposal to Die For. Jessamine Bricker thought spas were supposed to be relaxing. So far, her stay at the Golden Ash had left her creeped out, covered in mud, menaced, and forcibly bridesmaided. Jess was going to need therapy to deal with all of this relaxation. Her solo session at the spa's thermal suite had started out so well, soaking in softly scented steam showers and floating in silent, tranquil pools. But now she was standing in the sunlit hallway, listening for she wasn't sure what. Despite being surrounded by a heated white ceramic tile, she shivered and drew her plush Golden Ash robe closer at the throat. Something was off. Some primal atmospheric disturbance was closing in around her. Jess turned to look for dangers hidden in the long, empty corridor. She was alone, save for the harp music over forest sounds pumped in from a hidden speaker. She should have found comfort in it. But what was that smell? The sour, moldy stink had Jess gagging. She clamped her hand over her mouth to prevent that offensive gag from creeping into her respiratory system. The smell seemed to be coming from the Alpine steam room. She closed her fingers around the handle and pulled. The overripe cheese-scented steam billowed out over her head, making her groan out her displeasure. She flicked on the light switch. A rumpled mass of person lay splayed across the sauna's aqua slate floor. Is that who I think it is? The irritatingly familiar person mass in question was face down, like they'd been clambering toward the door before collapsing into a thin puddle of what she was pretty sure was vomit. Okay, get up, Jess huffed at the prone form, a pit of apprehension forming in her belly. This party till you pass out nonsense was embarrassing when you were 20. Now it's just sad. Jess laid a hand against the mottled skin, which was cold to the touch, even with the steam curling around them. Not hungover. Dead. Okay, well, that is effective. Also, I don't know if you noticed, there's a lot of good prose work going on there. That's surprising. Didn't expect that. There's even a bit of very cautious but very assertive onomatopoeia. Okay, well, I didn't mind that at all. Maybe I will read this. Maybe I'm going to become a cozy mystery guy. If David Murphy can become a Civil War guy, maybe I can become a cozy mystery guy. So those are our books. Musical history, dual biography, and a cozy murder mystery. With a little romance thrown in, and maybe some illegal mushroom harvesting. All right. Well, just leaving aside, bad experiences or, oh, I'm not that kind of guy or whatever, going just by the book, which is what I should do. It's what we all should do. I would keep reading. So, actually, should we read the beginning of John and Paul? Let's see. Paul McCartney emerges from the recording studio in which he had been working all day to face a group of reporters holding microphones toward him under blinding lights. They ask for his reaction to John Lennon's murder the night before. McCartney is chewing gum. His answers are short, laconic. Very shocked, it's terrible news. How did you find out about it? I got a phone call this morning. From whom? From a friend of mine. Are you planning to go over for the funeral? I don't know yet. Have you discovered the death with discussed the death with any other Beatles? No. Do you plan to? Probably, yeah. What were you recording today? I was just listening to some stuff, just didn't want to sit at home. Why? McCartney visibly loses patience. I didn't feel like it. The reporters run out of new questions. It's a drag, isn't it? Okay, cheers, McCartney says, and makes for his car. That's how we start this thing. The reporter's asking him dumb questions about the death of his friend. Okay, well, I'm up for both of these. So, and they're both at the same date, April 8th. So, that's a week away. There's plenty of time for me to read both of these tonight. So I will do that. So that's just a tiny bit of mail on a dark, drizzly day. Oh. But anyway, I'll wrap this up, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.